Hi, this is Ambie from Board Game Blitz, and today I'm going to talk about all the games I played in February. In February, I had 42 plays of 29 different games, so once again, I'm averaging a game per day of the month, well, more than a game per day of the month, but this was heavily back-ended, so I didn't think I was going to make it, but at the end of the month, for Tabletop Live Network, we played 5 different filler games for filler February, and then on the last day of the month, our Tuesday game night, we played 6 different Oink Games. Oink Games is a Japanese publisher, and they make a lot of small, short games. So I think this time, instead of talking about the games in order of most plays to least plays and how it's ordered on Board Game Stats, which I still don't really know how it's ordered on Board Game Stats, but instead of that, I think I'm going to talk about it in order of when I played the games more, because then I can group together the Oink games and the games I played for TLN. So February, I didn't play as many children's games as I did in January, but my first few plays in February were all children's games. So I played Hoot Owl Hoot, Go Away Monster, Storytime Chess, and The Color Monster all at the beginning of February. And we only played those once in February each. So I think I talked about a lot of these before, but Hoot Owl Hoot is a cooperative game where you're moving owls on colored spaces, and you have a hand of different colored cards that you can play, and you're trying to move to the next color card, and they can just hop over the owls. It has some strategy in picking which color to do because you want to move the owl the furthest, and so if you pick a color that's further away with hopping over the owls, that works out. But my kids aren't there yet with the strategy. Go Away Monster, one of their favorite games. I've talked about it a lot. Storytime Chess is introductory chess game. We're still not learning that many moves yet. We're still just on the kings, but it tells you a story for each character, which is really neat. The Color Monster is a game about feelings, and my kids are getting better at explaining their feelings, so that's pretty neat. Then the first game night of the month, we played Last Message 4 times. So Last Message is a Where's Waldo murder mystery themed game. So it's a 1 versus mini game. One person is the murderer, and then the other person is a ghost telling the rest of their team, trying to give hints to which picture you're trying to guess in a Where's Waldo style thing. There's a lot of similar characters and stuff. So the way you give clues is there's a 3x3 grid, a whiteboard grid, and so you're drawing or writing things all throughout it, and then the murderer can erase some of the squares of the grid, so you only get sections of the clues. And our plays ended up really easy for people to guess the characters. The murderer always lost. We thought we would like it more than we did. I think maybe if we only did drawing instead of doing words too, then maybe the clues would be more interesting and stuff. But I also didn't like the looking through all the pictures as much as I thought I would. I liked looking through the pictures in Micro Macro Crime City, the Where's Waldo part of that, but not in Last Message for some reason. I don't know. I also played Meat Master and Salad Master, which are both very similar games, but these are from Taiwan. They're party games that are kind of educational about meat or salad things. So there's different cards of meat or salad, and it has the information on it like calories, amount of protein, amount of sugar content or something. And so you're picking a card that says the most calories. And so you don't know what your own cards say on the information. You just know what it is. This is kale, and you don't know how many calories it has and stuff, but you can see everyone else's calorie count and stuff. Everyone plays one card and try to play the card with the most calories or whatever is picked for that round. So it's a fun, quick trivia game, and it was neat because it had the names of the foods in Taiwanese. My husband's Taiwanese, so he was recognizing. We kind of made a mini game where I was trying to read out the name because it has the romanization of the actual Taiwanese name, and I don't speak Taiwanese, so I was trying to read it, and then he would guess what it is. But that's not the actual game. So anyways, I actually got Meat Master and Salad Master from a giveaway from Cardboard East, which is a YouTube channel. Jay over there, he lives in Taiwan, and he reviews a lot of different Asian games, so you should check out Cardboard East. We also played Deception Murder in Hong Kong, which is a social deduction game that I hadn't played in a long time, so that was nice being able to play it again, and I still like it. But in Deception Murder in Hong Kong, one person is a murderer, one person is a forensic scientist, and everyone else is investigators. The forensic scientist is trying to give clues to all the investigators to figure out who the murderer is. But the murderer, it's not just who the murderer is, it's what their murder weapon and the clue was. Everyone has cards, 4 cards in front of them of a murder weapon and clues that are different items. And so the murderer picks one of each. And then the investigators, the other people, all get one chance to point to 2 items in front of anyone because everyone has items in front of them. And so they have to guess exactly right or else they don't get it. The forensic scientist is giving clues. There's these boards with different words on them like cause of death. It's either suffocation or loss of blood or something. And then they put little bullet markers on them and they can't talk. So you're giving clues and then everyone's discussing and then trying to figure out who the murderer is. So I like social deduction games, but this one also, it's not as stressful being the murderer since you don't really have to lie as much. Even if people know you're the murderer, they still have to guess the exact 2 weapons. So you can still win as the murderer even if you can't lie. I also played Monikers, which is one of my favorite party games. If you've played Time's Up, Monikers is basically very similar to that. But it's like a guessing game, kind of like charades, a team guessing game, where the first round you can just say anything, and the second round you use the same words that you're guessing, but then you can only say one word each time. And then the third round, you're just doing charades. You get inside jokes as you play the game because you're using the same word bank over and over, and you're remembering what the words are. And then you end up associating what people said previous rounds with what the words are, even if it's not really what the word is. So it gets really fun. I really enjoy it. And then we played Durian, which is an Oink game, but that was not played in our Oink Game Extravaganza recently, but Durian is a bluffing Oink game that I've talked about before. Each person has a card that they can't see, and then like everyone's cards together make up the supply of a store, and you're putting out cards in the middle of the table, making the demand, and when it goes over, then you bust, but like you have to guess if it goes over. So you ring a bell, and then if you guess wrong, then you get the points, which is bad to get points. But if you guess right that it busted, then the person who just played the card before you, they get the points. So it's just a quick, tense bluffing game. And I usually don't like bluffing games that much, but this one I'm more fine with, and it has some really fun moments. We played Wavelength a few times. Wavelength is a team or cooperative party game. I think we played both team and cooperative this month, but you're guessing where this dial is on a wavelength. You get a wavelength of like hot and cold or something, or like two spectrums of a wavelength, and you're trying to give a clue to point to where this dial is. And then your teammates try to guess where it is on the dial. And then the other team can guess if it's lower or higher and you get points. So it's fun. There's thinking of clues. It's hard sometimes, but like it's a fun party game. The discussions that come up when people say like, how close to this side is it? Like it's a little bit more on this side or it's a little this way. The discussions can get really fun. We also played our cross clues a lot of times. I mentioned that so many times. So another game I played with my kids is Click Clack Lumberjack. I mentioned that last time. But it's a dexterity game that I used to play only with adults, but now my kids like it too. And another game we hadn't played in a long time that I brought out at a game night was For Sale. For Sale is an auction bidding game. There's two main phases to it. There's the buying houses phase where you're bidding on these house cards that are numbered 1 through 30. And so you bid when you're trying to get the higher house. Like the number of cards out on the table each turn is equal to the number of players. And then you're bidding until you pass. And if you pass, you get the lowest card. But like if you pass, you have to pay half of your bid. So like you're kind of playing a game of chicken, depending on what cards come out. Like you're hoping not to get the lowest card, but you don't want to pay too much money because the person who wins the bid has to pay full price, which is not great. And then after you get your hand of cards, after you go through that deck, then there's the selling houses phase. So then there's cards of check values from 0 to 15. And those come out each turn. There's the same number of cards as players. And then each player places one of their cards face down. And then like the lowest card gets the lowest amount of money and the highest card gets the highest amount. So depending on the spread, like you could get $5 with a 1 card if it's like 5, 6, 7, 8 or something of the dollars that were out. Or you can get like a $0 with like a higher house if like there were a couple zeros out and like everyone played a higher house than you. So it's kind of like trying to play cards at the right time based on what other people have and what the spread of the money is, and you're trying to get the most money. So even though I'm not usually like super into auction bidding games, like For Sale is really, For Sale is like really good. I played my first adventure, Finding the Dragon, a couple times with my kids, just I think as bedtime stories. I've talked about that a lot. Oh, and I played Tiny Turbo Cars again, which I talked about on the podcast, so you can listen to that if you want to hear my thoughts. And then at another game night, we played El Grande, which is an older area control, area majority, and bidding kind of game. So El Grande is like a classic game, the classic area control game. And I don't really like area control that much. Area majority I'm like okay with, but I'm still not like really into it. But I felt like I should probably play El Grande at some point. And I liked it about as much as I expected to like it, because I also don't really like the bidding parts of it. You're kind of bidding for turn order by playing cards from your hand. Everyone has cards 1 to 13, and they're kind of one-time play. But like the bigger cards let you go first, but then the lower cards get you more people from your supply. And then when you go first, you pick one of the cards that like they let you put a certain number of people out, but they also have special powers. Sometimes there's good special powers, and some of the special powers felt kind of like mean, attacking other people, and then you can like move other people's people on the board. So like even if you have people in a certain spot, you're trying to get the most people into spots to get points. Like even if you have people there, other people can move your people away. I don't like take that much. I thought it was a decent game, and that was interesting, and I'm glad I got to play it, but like I'm not really big fan of most of those mechanisms. So so it's not my type of game. And then for games I streamed Roll&Meow, the Cat Burglars, which is a print and play solo or 2-player game. I'm not sure if it's still on Kickstarter, but it's on Kickstarter for print and play. I got a preview copy of the game. So it's a complicated roll and write. There's a lot of things going on, but you're cat burglar going into a mansion of a mage and you're trying to steal stuff. So you have to like steal different areas of loot. You move around, you're trying to avoid guards, open locks. Like you have to have your lockpick set to certain things, which is like cubes put on a grid, which you can move around with your dice rolls. Your dice rolls let you move. They give you some special powers. And then there's a mini game where you have to open a safe. And when you do that, it's like a timed real-time 1-minute round where you have dice on the safes and you have to like have them add up to certain numbers, but you like move them around physically. You can't like actually put them to whatever number you want. You have to move them based on certain movement rules and like twist them based on certain rules. So that's kind of interesting, but there's like so much going on that for me, I don't play many solo games, and the rules overhead for the solo game might be too much for me to want to play it often. But I did have fun playing it, and it was cool having like a real-time phase in a roll and write. And then for Tabletop Live Network, Crystal and I played 5 filler games together that spelled out Blitz with their initials. So Bandido, The Lady and the Tiger, Insert, Tucano, and Zola. Blitz. Those are we all played on Board Game Arena, so I played them digitally. Bandido is a cooperative game where you're trying to make a little maze and cover up all the exits. We were doing so well at the beginning, and then things spiraled out of control because you can only play cards that you have in your hand. You have a hand of 3 cards, and then sometimes you can't play something that makes the maze close in, and then it just like opens up more exits. So that happened. And then The Lady and the Tiger is actually a game that has like 5 different mini games, but on Board Game Arena there's only one called Doors. So we played that one. It's a 2-player kind of bluffing deduction game where each person has an identity card. I think there's like 4 choices: the red lady, the red tiger, the blue lady, and the blue tiger. One person is trying to collect cards to be 4 of a kind that match. So like if they have the red lady, they want 4 ladies or 4 red cards. And then the other person's trying to guess what they have. So they can guess either they have exactly the red lady, or they have a red card, or they have a lady. So if they guess wrong, then the other person gets the points. But if they guess right, then they get points. So like the collector is just taking cards and trying to bluff by like not taking just the exact cards they need. And then the guesser also has one of the cards, so they can use that to give them more information too. So that was a quick, fun, like 2-player mind game. Deduction game. And then Insert and Zola were both abstract games. So Insert is kind of like a reverse Othello. You're trying to get 5 in a row, and you can flip the other people's tokens when you place something in between 2 of them. If you fill up the rows in between, so then it flips over the ends. But when you place, it also has like lines on it that show you, like if you place it and it's a line that's horizontal, then the opponent has to place in that line the next turn. There could be a lot of planning ahead and stuff, but both Crystal and I aren't very into abstract games, so it looked like as we were playing, we're like, ooh, it looks like we were planning ahead for that, but we weren't. And Zola is a more checkers-like abstract game where you're capturing pieces, but like in order to capture pieces, you have to move inwards, and otherwise you move outwards. And so like there's only certain places you can go on each piece. So that I liked Insert a lot more than Zola. I guess maybe I don't like the capturing type as much. I don't know. And then Tucano is a set collection card game. We played it at 2 players and then again at 4 players. I liked it more at 4 players. You're collecting different types of fruit. There's 3 columns of cards, and then each turn, one card gets added to each column, and each turn you take one of the columns, and you have to take all the cards of that column. And then each fruit has different scoring things, like if you have 1 of it, then you have 8 points. If you have 2 of it, you have 4. 3, you get 0. 4, you get negative or something. Or some of them are like negative or more negative, or like some are positive and get better as you get more. So you don't want certain cards, but you do want certain other cards. And then there's also toucan cards that give you different powers. Like you have to steal a card from someone else, or give a card to someone else, or flip over all your cards and then they're not stealable, but then you also don't remember what you had and which ones you need to get. So yeah, I like it more with more players because there are some scoring cards where it says like if you have the most of this card, then you get more points. Where I think that works better with more players. And then the Oink Games Extravaganza we played at the end of the month. I played 9 Tiles, Sanrio characters Speedwolf, Tiger and Dragon, The Diamond Swap, In a Grove, and Insider. 9 Tiles and Insider I've played before. We played Insider 3 times. But 9 Tiles, we played the Pokemon version. So instead of like abstract symbols in colors, it had Pokemon characters. And this was a lot harder than regular 9 Tiles. It's a speed game where you're trying to match up and flip these tiles to match up a pattern that's drawn with a card. So it was hard because like some of the Pokemon looked pretty similar, and they didn't have just like first generation Pokemon. So I didn't know all the Pokemon. So a couple of them were both like blue and looking similar. So it was hard harder to tell which icon or which Pokemon was out. So it took a little longer, but it's still the same as 9 tiles. And then Insider, we played before, but like we hadn't played since 2017 or 2018. But Insider, if you play Werewords, it's similar but different. But Insider is 20 questions, but one person knows the word. And everyone wants the word to be guessed. If it's not guessed, then you lose. Everyone loses. But like if the word is guessed, then people want to try to guess the insider. If they don't guess the insider correctly, then the insider wins. Otherwise, the insider loses if people guess who they are. So instead of trying to get the 20 questions and answer correctly, in this game, you're trying to like kind of stall more and not get the answer so that you can make the insider like have to come out and ask good questions. And you can try to figure out what it is. But a lot of times we just forget and get into like the 20 questions and then we guess too quickly and then we don't know who the insider is. And then the other games we played were new to us. Sanrio Characters Speedwolf is a speed game where you're playing cards and they have Sanrio characters on it and you have to like say the Sanrio character's name, which I learned them now. There's Hello Kitty, Cinnamoroll, Pochoco, and I forget my melody. So they have those characters on the card, 1, 2, 3, or 4 of them, and you're playing a card. If there's one with 2 characters on it, you can play a card with either 3 or 1 character, but it has to be like the same characters with just added 1 or subtracting 1. And you say the character that was different. So you have to know all their names. But we learned them and then we played it. It's just a speed game probably for kids or people who are super into Hello Kitty. Tiger and Dragon was a simple tile game. Everyone has a hand of cards. There's numbers from 1 to 8. So there's 1 1, there's 2 2s, 3 3s, all the way to 8 8s in the deck. And then there's a tiger and a dragon. And the tiger can be any even number and the dragon can be any odd number. But the first player will play a card or a tile. That's called the attack. And the next person can either play the same tile or pass. If they play the same tile, it's a defense. And then they get to attack with another tile. So you're kind of trying to match the tiles to other people, but then also play a tile on the attack that no one else has, which like as more tiles get played, you can do that. But then the wild tigers and dragons can mess with that. But like if you play a card that no one else plays, everyone passes, then you get to put one of your tiles face down and then go again. So you want to get rid of all your tiles. You get different numbers of points based on what your last tile played is. If you end with a wild, then you get no points, only bonus points, which you get for your face down tiles that you've played when everyone passes. It was pretty simple. I didn't like it that much. It felt kind of like a very simple trick-taking game. And I heard Tiger and Dragon is a simplified version of a Japanese game called Goita. I think maybe I might like Goita more. And also, I heard there's a team version. So we played like 5 players just solo, but I think with teams, 4 players, teams, it would be a lot more interesting. And then the Diamond Swap is a game where there's different sizes of tiles. There are diamonds. There's fake diamonds and real diamonds. And so they go from 1 to 30 and like each one is larger than the other. So they're all different sizes. And one person each round is a burglar, or one or more people each round is a burglar, and they're swapping out some of the diamonds. So everyone has like their own numbered diamonds, and then you have like a little cheat sheet that shows you which numbers belong to who and which numbers can be the real diamonds. And so like you're switching out ones, and then everyone looks afterwards to see what the diamonds look like and which one they think is a fake. If they point to a fake one, then the people who weren't burglars get points, and if they didn't find the fake one, the burglars get points. So I liked this more than expected. Well, so like originally when I heard about this, I thought it was a cool concept, but then like I heard bad reviews about it. So then I wasn't as excited to play it. But then when I played it, I actually did really well at like finding the differences and seeing like, oh, these 2 diamonds look really close. So, because we knew like the diamonds that were, the real diamonds was like 3, 9, 15, 21, and 27. So these 2 look too similar to be that far apart. So it's one of these 2. And then we were able to guess the false diamond a lot of times. And then the last new-ish to me game I played was In a Grove, which is an Oink game. So I had played the original In a Grove a long time ago, and I did not like it. But I got the new one with the new Kickstarter, well, a couple of years ago. And so this has some updated rules. I think the rules that they updated were both things that I did not like. So I like the new one. This is a deduction game. Each person has a person marker. They're like these tile people things. And then there's 3 in the middle with 1 as the victim, and that's like the one who died. And so the 3 suspects, you have to figure out which one is the murderer. And the rules are if it's the highest number, that would be the murderer, unless there's a 5 in the 3 suspects. And if the 5 is there, then it's the lowest number. And so there's like numbers 2 through 8, and then there's 2 X's, and that's what's the distribution of the people cards. So each person gets to see 2 of the people that are out of the game first, and then you, on your turn, you look at 2 people in the middle, and then you bid on like which one you think the murderer is. And then the next person gets to look at the 2 people that you didn't bid on, and then they bid on something, and the next person does the same thing, and they keep going around until everyone has bid. And the last person to bid is the one that gets penalized. So like if everyone is like guessing on one person, and then one person, like the last person also guesses on that same person, if you're right, then that's good. But like if you're wrong, then you get all of those chips as like negative points. So there's some like bluffing, and if the first person like says, oh yeah, it's this one, but the next person can't see what it is, so they can either trust that person or be like, no, I don't trust you. So that's kind of cool. So yeah, I liked Intergrove a lot more. I think I also, because when I played it before, I played it only at 3 players, and then this time I played at 5. So I think there's like a lot more of the bluffing and like information stuff that you can kind of glean at a higher player count than at the lower player count. So that was all the games I played in February. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know what games you played in February in the comments below. And if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe and check out some other videos. Thanks for watching Board Game Blitz. Bye!